Today, we are trying to spark some controversy, some debate. We are doing a Necron tier list. So if you're wondering what's good, what's bad after this most recent data slate and all the new detachments in the mix, this is my take on it. This is my opinion. I could be wrong. I could be right. Who the heck knows? But you know what? It's fun talking about it. So if that's something that interests you, stick around because that's all we're going to be talking about today. And I would like to preface that this is going to be just based on Awakened Dynasty and Star Shatter when I'm ranking these units. And in that context, I think Hypercrypt is going to be out of the meta. I think the two go-tos are going to be Awaken and Star Shatter moving forward. I totally could be proven wrong, but that is what my gut tells me. So let's get into it here. So I went ahead and put all the kind of stuff that's either legend or stuff that people aren't really playing at the bottom. We'll get to that and start with the juicier stuff at the top. So we got ourselves a Canoptic Doomstalker, ladies and gentlemen. And the ranking system we have today it's real original. It's sad. It's it makes me happy. A list staple, and an auto include. Okay? So, Doomstalker, it's kind of meh. Mainly because, you look at a Doomsday Arc, why take a Doomstalker basically when you could take a Doomsday Arc? So, I think until the Doomsday Arc is appropriately costed, because at 190 points, it is borderline just criminal right now for what they do. Doomstalker, I think it's just kind of in the meh category. It's still, it's still going to be good in Canoptic. It does potentially have a place in Star Shatter, but it's one of those things that there's just a better option that fulfills the same role, right? So, Reanimators. I think they are not I think they're the top of list staple. I personally run 2 in my Awaken list, and I run 1 in my Star Shatter list, mainly because both of those detachments have a reanimation strat, and I think they are very well costed for what they do at 75 points. It's an extremely durable piece. I think there's just a lot of value to Reanimators right now, and I think I think they're definitely a list staple. I borderline auto include. I think they're definitely effective lists without them. But I think Reanimators in the current state of the meta, they're in a very good spot, and I think they are very playable if you have them. Moving up to Scarabs. Scarabs, I think, honestly, they're kind of right now. They're good for screening. They're good for move blocking. The OC0 is kind of a bummer. I found in quite a few games, it's one of those things. I think they fall in the same category as the Doomstalker, where I would rather just take a Locust Destroyer for 35 points. That's OC2. It's a smaller footprint, and just keeping it in reserve and kind of fulfilling that same role. So I think, Scarab Storms, they're not bad, but it's just, again, I think they fall in the place right now where there's just something better for their points that fulfill the same role, okay? The Royal Warden. Now, recently in the data slate, he went up in points, which he is overall, I think, a very good unit right now. I actually run him in my Awaken list, and I think he's super strong. Mainly because he has the once per game you can auto pass a battle shock test if you're within 12 inches, which can really help when you're playing Awakened Dynasty, because a lot of good players are going to try to, some way or form, try to trigger a battle shock test, like on Xeris or one of your characters. So just having that in your back pocket and that ability to auto pass, I think, is pretty strong. Other than that, I don't know if we'll really see much play in Star Shatter, but I think there's a good spot for him in Awakened Dynasty, honestly. So he's good. He's good. The Nightbringer. Obviously, one of probably the best Satans out of all of them. We're going to put him in the old happy category. Nightbringer super strong. Satan are still going to be super strong. Even with their points update, they are still extremely hard to kill. There are good matchups. There are bad matchups. I mean, when you're playing T-Suns, a lot of times you're wondering, why do I even run Satan? And then when you're playing against like Orcs Green Tide, you're like, oh my gosh, I love Satan. So it does depend on the matchup. I think against a lot of good players, they know how to get rid of them. So I personally am not a huge fan of Satan right now in the current meta, but I think they definitely could have a place in Star Shatter just because of the ability to have +1 to hit and +1 to wound. So, you know, the Nightbringer hitting on 2s, potentially re-rolling, and then wounding pretty much anything on the game on 2s with a strike profile could be pretty nasty. So we're also going to put the Transcendent up here as well. Same type of thing. Durable piece. I think they're super strong. I don't think it would quite be a list staple per se, but I think Transcendent, you know, super strong. Auto teleport, deep strike. Points went up, but still strong. I think Catacomb Command Barge definitely can make a strong argument now. He's going to be a list staple, especially in Star Shatter. His points recently went down the update before. He has the extra OC for Necron units within 6 inches, which is super strong. If you're running Race, Lich Guard, something like that as an anchor piece, I mean, giving Race OC3 is super gross. I mean, having just 4 Race on an objective is already 12 OC. It makes it super hard to dig them out and for your opponent to deny primary. And let's not forget about the free Resorb once per game. Of course, feels bad when you roll that 1, but hey, you know, it is what it is. So Catacomb Command Barge, we're putting that in the list staple, baby. So moving on, Chronomancer. We're going to put him in the old happy category. Right now, I don't have him in any of my lists. I think he was super good when Hypercrypt was around. Now that I think it's kind of fallen off, he's still strong. I mean, Fire and Fade is extremely good still. -1 to hit, packaging him with Warriors or Immortals is super good. I just don't think you see a lot of battle line play right now in the current state of the meta, even with the point drops on Warriors, because it's only 10 points on the 10 brick, not the 20. So I think Chronomancer, he's just in the good category now. Crypto Thralls, meh. There's some combos you've seen with putting them in a Wraith unit, which I could experiment with, but the problem is because it kind of creates this breakpoint against certain matchups where they just can't kill the Wraiths, like in Awakened Dynasty. You could run that combo and also Star Shatter as well. What is nice about the Crypto Thralls is that you can now have a unit that gives up Cull the Horde, so your opponent can't auto-cycle it, because if you put them in Race, it's going to bring that breakpoint over, 24 wounds or 25 wounds, not including the character. So interesting tech piece there, but the problem is they slow down the unit. So a lot of times in those matchups, like, you want the Race to get on the point and you want to keep pushing them up the board. So the Crypto Thralls, unfortunately, just kind of slow them down, which is not ideal. So Deceiver, meh. He's strong in, I don't know, certain matchups. Again, -1 to hit, the redeploy, it's cool, but I really don't think he's going to see much play going into this new meta that we're entering here. So kind of put him in the meh category. Death Marks, I think they're strong. I think there's places for them in a list. I think in my current Wraith build that I'm running for Star Shatter, I have a unit of Death Marks. They have Deep Strike. I think they're costed well at 65 points. It gives you options. You can use them to screen the backfield. I think they have a lot of play in lists, so I think they're just overall a strong unit. Flayed Ones. Dun-da-da. Our first auto-include. You got to be running the Flayed Ones, y'all. Right now, if you're playing Necrons, Flayed Ones have to be in your list, whether you're playing Star Shatter or Awakened Dynasty. Enough said. They are super strong for 60 points. The damage output on them can honestly be crazy in Star Shatter with +1 to hit and +1 to wound. I feel like I've talked about it extensively in other videos, so I'm not going to bore you anymore with that. But look into it more. Flayed Ones, auto-include. They're fantastic. Ghost Arcs, hot take. I think they are just still bad. even with the points drop and the points drop on 10 warriors, that package is still really expensive to do anything, I think, significant. I mean, there is potentially the idea of like using them as an anchor piece, like in Star Shatter, and you move them on the objective. And then, of course, your opponent has to waste like 2 activations to kill the Ghost Ark and the warriors. But the problem is you're spending like 200 plus points on that, and there's just literally no damage output really whatsoever. So I wish they were good. I really do, but it's just a no. It's just a no from me right now. Hex marks. You know I love them. I think right now they are an auto include. They're an auto include. Biggest reason is there are still going to be armies that have indirect, and the hex mark is the ultimate utility piece against that. It's super strong. It only went up 5 points. They are great for screening the backfield. They are great for holding the enhancement in Star Shatter for -1 damage. They are, I forgot what I said, they're lone op, they deep strike. The auto Overwatch at AP2 ignores cover, so it's basically AP3. They are just a great unit for 75 points, and I think in the current meta, you're probably going to see them in most every list. All right. Moving up next, we got some more auto includes here. Silent King. You already know how I feel about him. Super strong. Durable, anchor, anti-tank. He's just the unit that does it all. He is just fantastic right now in Star Shatter, and pending any FAQs or hotfixes, he is just in a league of his own right now. It is very, very strong. Very, very strong. So, Silent King, auto include. Imhotep, auto include. Specifically for Star Shatter, okay? I think if Star Shatter didn't exist, I think he's good. But because Star Shatter exists, he is an auto include. The strats are so good. You're basically using the flat 6 advance that move through walls, the -1 to wound. You're using those specific strats all the time. So, I mean, it's not uncommon for me in games where I'm sitting at 4 CP turn 2 and then it's all gone before I go into my round 3. So, Imhotep's going to be in every Star Shatter list. Like, it's just, like, without a doubt. So, Doomsday Arcs, I think the point right now at where they're costed at recording this video at 190 points, they need to go up. Everybody knows they need to go up. It is criminal what their cost is right now. 190 points for what they do. There's going to be 1 in every list. You're probably going to see 2 in every list, unfortunately. I mean, a 14-win vehicle with a 4-up invul, T9, moves 10. There's just literally no downside to this unit other than just the D6 shots, which I just run 1 right now just as the giving you a projected threat with the unit. And 2 or 3 are great as well. So they're going to be an auto include. Race. They are probably at the top of list staple. I run them in the Awakened Dynasty. I think lists can function without them. Same thing with Star Shatter. I think they are very strong in that detachment, but I think also a good Star Shatter list can exist without Race. But Race fulfill a similar role that the King does, where they are just an extremely good anchor piece, especially with their points going down. They are just very tough to shift. I will say there are a couple armies that seem to have gotten significantly more lethal. I have not played against any of the new Marine detachments yet, but I know there are some pretty nasty combos in there. So we will have to wait and see on that. But I think the Race are still in a very good spot, especially with their points going down. And yeah, they're in a good spot. Now, onto the Monolith. So we're going to have a just a moment of silence really quick, and I'm just going to bring up my Monolith here that I spent a lot of time painting. Okay, so just going to show you guys this really quick. And, now it's just going to be, it's going to be in my case, okay? It's going to be in my case because Hypercrypt is just no longer. So I think we're just going to be putting the Monolith just right here, right now. And I don't know. I hope somebody out there can figure out. I think Hypercrypt is still going to be strong. Okay, actually, let's update it with the model here. Hypercrypt, I think, is still going to be strong. I just don't think it's going to be at the top of the meta with the change to only bringing up 2 units instead of 3 and the 6-inch instead of the 3-inch deep strike rule. I think is going to hit them pretty hard. And I think the unit count is also going to hit them pretty hard because a lot of the lists that we're doing really well, we're picking up like Doomsday Arcs and Silent King as like a package. And so having that extra unit in there for them to pick up where you could use it as a utility piece or something like that, and you don't have the ability to do that anymore, I think it really hurts the scoring potential of Hypercrypt, unfortunately. So Monolith is going in the meh category. All right, Locust Lord. He is strong. No, I'm going to go list staple. I'm going to go list staple at the bottom. Okay, so in Awakened Dynasty, I'm going to talk about it. Link to another video probably next week. With the Veil of Darkness combo with Locust Heavy Destroyers, it is an extremely strong combo. Basically, it allows you to pick that unit up once per game and put them somewhere else. So in Awakened Dynasty, you can have that unit hit on 2s because they're +1 to hit, critting on 5s, and then rerolling 1s to wound against vehicles. So it's an extremely potent anti-tank piece that is very reliable, which is what I like in competitive play. Reliable anti-tank shooting. So, and I think there is a place for him in Star Shatter. I don't think it's worth bringing the Locust Lord on the Emetics or like the Locust Heavy Destroyers. I think it's only worth it if you're bringing the 6-brick of Locust Destroyers and then just giving him the anti-cover enhancement, I think is the way to go. I think if you're the efficiency of the Locust Heavies, you don't need the Locust Lord, and you can save that points and put it elsewhere. So Locust Destroyers, I think they are a list staple as well. They're super strong. I wouldn't say they're an auto-include by any means. There are certainly some weaknesses with this unit that I don't like. The biggest thing is the footprint. It is massive, and they can get tagged. That is definitely a weakness. And if you're not running the fallback enhancement and they get tagged, it's a sad day for you. So putting them there. Canoptic Spider, I think, is also, it's a strong piece. I wouldn't say it's an auto-include, but it is a very strong piece in Star Shadow right now, just in conjunction with the King mainly. So I think you're going to be seeing them in a lot more lists coming up here. I don't really know if it has much of a place in Awakened Dynasty. You will see them in some Hypercrypt lists, but I really don't think Hypercrypt's going to be run as much going into this new meta. So Scorpec Destroyers, I am real high on the stock of Scorpec Destroyers right now, guys. So this is going to be a hot take, but I am putting them all the way in auto-include. The Scorpec Destroyers are so good in Star Shatter, and I'm going to sell you guys on them right now, and they are so good in Awakened Dynasty. Mainly because at 90 points, it is so easy for them to trade up. Mainly, especially in Star Shatter, I've gone over it. Think about it. Again, 90 points for a unit that has 12 attacks that's going to be hitting on 2s because they're on an objective with full rerolls, dev wounds, and you can pop a strat for 1 CP to give them +1 to wound. So now they're going to be wounding pretty much any elite infantry on the game on 2s as well. AP2, 2 damage. It is just so strong. So they are going in the old auto-include category. Awakened Dynasty, I mean, they're just fantastic as well. I mean, same idea. You can give them +1 strength, +1 AP, so then they go to strength 8, and then AP 3. Like, they're just such a good trade piece, and the movement 8 is huge because it makes it much easier to connect with stuff on the midfield and have shorter charges. So they're super strong. Xeris, I think, is a list staple, mainly when talking about Awakened Dynasty. You're going to see that build later, but Xeris right now in Awakened Dynasty is super strong, even when you're not running any battle line, mainly because it forces your opponent to come closer to you and trade down because they have to commit so much to kill this beefy guy with a 2-up, 4-up, 4-up, lone op, and you can bring him back for 1 CP. It is crazy how strong that is. Next up, that's an Overlord model. So we have 2 command barges. Okay, so we're gonna. That's the Annihilation barge. Excuse me. Okay, I think Annihilation barges are. I know some people are experimenting with them. I think it's going to be another hot take, but I think they're kind of in the same spot as the Doomstalker. They're good, but like if I'm spending points on Annihilation Barges, I would rather just spend it on Doomsday Arcs. They just fulfill the same role, but Doomsday Arcs are better. All right. Lich Guard. Okay. I think they are strong. I am happy about them, but I don't know if they're a list staple. Like they are the one unit in my Awaken list that I do love, but there are a lot of things in the meta that can just one-shot them, so you have to play them very carefully. Like it is the one unit that they can just be amazing if you deploy them correctly and you play them very strategically. But if you make one slight little mess up, like they are gone, in my experience against good players. So it's tough in that regard. So, but I think they're strong. I think they're strong going in this meta. So let's go up to the Mr. Overlord himself. Again, I think he is super strong. Package him with the Lich Guard is really good in Awakened Dynasty because you're giving that unit +1 to hit. They have a Res Orb. The Overlord has a Strength 12 weapon instead of Strength 8. I think that's the main reason you take him over the one with the Translocation Shroud, especially in this meta where you need to maybe punch through vehicles or like Big Knights, giving the ability for +1 Strength, +1 AP, 1 CP to bring him back. It's really strong. So the Locust Heavy Destroyers. Oh my gosh, are these guys an auto-include? I mean, we're going to put them right there. That's about how strong I feel about them. So yeah, they are amazing. They are borderline just busted in Star Shatter right now. Like the Amitic profile, like, trust me, you don't need a Locust Lord. Just run them. Units of 1, units of 2, units of 3. If you want to do some damage, just run some Amitics. Like, they are just so good. Enough said. They're just so good. Warriors. I'm just not hyped about them still. I think there can be some lists. I think there's going to be something coming out. Somebody will figure out some way to make these warriors work. I for one really wanted a freaking like Silver Tide detachment rather than Star Shatter. I mean, cool, they gave us Star Shatter. It's extremely good, but I was really hoping for something like, plus like a warrior immortal detachment, right? But Star Shatter I guess is cool too, but we just got Warriors and Immortals sitting on the shelf because I can't really figure out a way to make them work. But, hey, maybe somebody else will. So I'm just kind of on them right now. Stalkers. Look, I'm feeling real strong about the Stalkers. Some people don't like them. I'm real high on them. So I really like the Stalkers right now. I think you can make a case also in Awakened Dynasty, but I think in Star Shatter, they solve a lot of early game problems for a cheap cost. And also they synergize with the list so they can use all of the stratagems, which is extremely good. I don't know. I think they're great. I really like them right now. So what's his face? Is this Trajan? Is that that dude? Yeah, his rules are just are not good. I think this is the sticky guy. Has the sticky rule and his data sheet's just not the best. So we're just gonna he's just down there. Obelisk, same thing. Now with Hypercrypt going down, it's just kind of meh, not that great. Scorpec Lords, I think they are a list staple, mainly because of Awakened Dynasty. They are super strong right now. 1 CP to bring them back is it's crazy. They're auto-include. They're so efficient, again, for their points. They kind of fulfill the same role as the Scorpecs, where they're just really, really good trading pieces, and you can give one of the Scorpec Lords a Fort Feel No Pain in Awakened Dynasty, which makes it really strong. So, Mortals, I think right now they're just meh. They have a role in terms of like holding down your home field, but I think they fall in the same problem as a lot of these units, is that there's just other units that do their job better currently, in my opinion. So we're giving the Immortals kind of the meh treatment. Now, Ophidians here, I think are strong. I think we put them. I think we put them around here. Their points went down. I would be lying to say that I'm trying to figure out a list that has them in. At 80 points, they're going to be in some lists. I think they are strong. I don't know if they're quite list staple strong, but with the points going down, it makes it interesting. And I think in Star Shatter specifically, they can really trade up in certain situations. The only thing I don't love about them, the same thing that happens with the Praetorians, is they're really squishy. So they're really susceptible to Overwatch threats with only a 4-up save. But they are fast. They can up down, so they're good secondary mission pieces. So I think they're strong. Emotech Oricon. God, I want to run this guy so much, man. But I can't find a use for him. Gives a 4-up invul when he's attached to warriors or immortals, so you can't attach to Lich Guard. Waken, there might be some play because 1 CP can bring him back. He has like that once per game, like just, tries to swap you, smack you. And, but yeah, I don't really see him being in many meta lists currently. So, Overlord with Translocation Shroud. He's strong. There are some combos that you can do with Immortals, specifically, or Lich Guard that can give, sometimes in a list design, if you're really trying to get like a Lich Guard brick or Immortals or something like that onto your natural expansion turn 1 and you just auto advance them 6. It's pretty strong. I mean, movement, again, it's super strong in this game. So I think he does have some play depending on how you build your list. I wouldn't put him in the list staple category, but he is super strong going into this next data slate here. Plasmancer, again, I think is strong. I'm going to put these all over here. I think there's some play in Awakened. You could maybe make a case in Star Shatter, but I think there's just better things to bring than the Warriors or the Immortals in Star Shatter. Mainly because like the Warrior Brick was super strong. If you could get like the full rerolls, like an Awaken was super nasty with that enhancement. But who knows? Maybe somebody can come up with something that has like that combo. That'd be super cool to see. But I can't think of anything personally yet. So the Psychomancer, I put him in the kind of meh category. Like I think in some teams lists he could be super strong. Trying to trigger some battle shocks, but at the end of the day, if they pass their battle shocks, it's kind of a feels bad. And I think the points in a lot of lists, they could just go elsewhere. So we're just going to put him in the meh category. Now, the old Technomancer. Technomancer is definitely going to be a list staple because he is packaged with the race. So you're not bringing the Technomancer without the race, and you're not bringing the race without the Technomancer. Y'all know what he does. He's super strong. I think the Tesseract Volt is going in the meh category. I think basically all of the units that you saw that were super strong in Hypercrypt, because the Stonka Hypercrypt went down. I think same thing with the Tesseract Volt. If you asked me like a month ago, it would obviously be probably up in the list staple because a lot of lists that were doing well had Tesseract Volts. Tomb Blades, list staple. Almost auto-include. Nah. Did I say auto-include? I'm going to say they're auto-include. I'm going to say they're at the bottom of auto-include, mainly because I do run them in both my lists. I think they just provide so much utility at 75 points, and in Star Shatter, their utility is crazy just because they are also affected by all the stratagems, so flat 6 advance, move through walls. I think they are in a really good spot. I think you probably see them in every list. And this is basically what auto-include means. I mean, basically, whether you're seeing Awakened or Star Shatter, I think you see these units in every list. Praetorians. I feel the same about them as I do Ophidian Destroyers. I think I'm happy about them. I think they're strong. I don't know if they're a list staple. They kind of suffer the same problem as the Ophidians, where they're Overwatch threat. It's a sad day if you're playing against a list like that. And it's tough for them to connect because they are still fairly squishy because they don't have an invul and just a 3-up save. So, but I think they're in a good. They're costed enough where it makes it interesting. They fly. They move 10. They can reroll charges. They have deep strike. I think there is some play there with that unit, and I do want to figure it out. But I think they're in a strong place. I don't know if they're really a list staple. So. And then last but not least, this pretty much rounds it out. The Void Dragon himself. We are going to put in the happy category. Okay? So I think he is the third best option with Satan. Bigger base, harder to hide, good damage output, but I don't necessarily know if he's a list staple. Yeah. I mean, he's strong, but I think there's better options for the points. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if you're bringing a Satan, it's like, well, I'd rather just take the Nightbringer, so... and I think this is the end of our tier list here. So let's see. This is more or less, I don't think I really want to switch anything around. I think this is looking pretty good. So hopefully this tier list was helpful for you. Let me know your thoughts down below of what you think maybe you would have changed or switched around going into this new meta. But this is more or less what I think is going to be run and what you're going to see a lot of these next couple months, pending any points changes or FAQ coming up. But we will have to wait and see. But other than that, I hope you all have a great weekend. And just remember, if one of us gets better, we all get better. And with that, till the next one. Peace.